Hello again and welcome to Living the Tao.
Hi, I'm Taoist Master Mikel Steenrod.
And I'm Morgan. And thank you for joining us on this walk today. Today we'll be talking about a question that once we bring up the topic, everybody asks, what was the world like before social mind?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Social mind probably wasn't very strong until the end of the Warring States period. So somewhere around that, we started seeing a strengthening of social mind. Probably, I mean, there are references to the red dust, so the concept was common within culture. I think those started around 400 or 600 AD, where people started to really deal with the idea of having this prevalent thing. And
well, there had to be some civilization, right? So, because it's a product of people getting together and doing stuff.
that's where we recognize it, yes.
Oh, well, yeah.
But even in those early eras, with modest effort, you could defy it. So I would have to say,
Okay.
we have to keep in mind that like the Zhou culture, which devolved into the Warring States culture, was actually highly sophisticated and very well developed. A lot of what we think of as having developed much later CE within China actually was entirely present within the Zhou culture. And so that's also, realistically, that's the period of magic within Daoism. And so there was the creation of many of the great magical items, magic swords, the Magic Four, which were a series of great relics capable of modifying reality to preserve it, and other factors like that. So, for example, the travel tapestry emerged, probably one of the early ones. There are references to it, and I think even within textual translation in early Zhou. And for that, a person would look at the tapestry, focus on a particular area, and then they would be at that area.
No. Wow.
And so as time went on, the strength of the social mind was equated with gradually the death of magic, or the disappearance of magic, and the disappearance of great free-floating sources of energy. So essentially all the cheap pathways steadily disappeared.
That makes sense.
This also becomes important because the naturalist pathway to enlightenment, if we're going to use the borrowed term,
Right. Enlightenment.
came from the Warring States period. But by the time it had rolled around to, let's say, 200 CE, that path was considered to be incredibly unlikely.
Ooh.
And so, you know, the reason for that was the social mind had grown in strength enough to suppress those easier pathways.
Yeah.
And then you really start to see, well, if you follow the histories and the reports, flying completely disappeared in the 1700s, and it can no longer be reproduced at that time. And so there was this, by that time, more than likely social mind was firmly entrenched. And so it was, one of the major factors of social mind is that it causes humans to bleed off energy. And meaning that within the social mind, many of its functions are there to dissipate chi and also to dissipate karma.
Yes.
And so, and this again, this is a Taoist karma. This is not the concept of Buddhist or Hindu karma. You want karma within Taoism. It's an energy. And so the thought is that, well, if you could still accumulate at that level, would you be able to do the same things? And I'm using the remarkable as a milestone for people because it's it's easier it stands out, it's easier to understand.
And historically it would be remarked upon, not just daily living, yes.
And so it's an easy reference point for people. And so the thought becomes, well, if I could simply accumulate that energy in defiance of the social mind, could I then have access to the ancient eras of skill?
Of skill, yeah.
And the answer is, it turns out, not really. The social mind is strong enough to distort the reality here and now, and that reality that it creates actually prevents those things for the great majority of people. So
wow,
it is possible to completely jump outside of that, but it requires enormous amounts of energy, which think of it this way, you have to pretty much be a karmic billionaire in order to be able to do those things now. Whereas before, you had to have like a karmic IRA. Is that the right word?
I think so.
Yeah.
The retirement account?
Yeah, that's what you had to have. So you had to have some a nice karmic savings account. And you're not going to be flying anywhere, but if you need a magic sandwich or something like that,
you could drum one up.
You could drum one up.
Yeah.
So, but now it's essentially, you have to be a karmic billionaire to pull off that type of stuff, which before was just an average person in the arts.
You still have to know how to ride a bicycle to ride a bicycle.
But now it's only the billionaires that can afford a bicycle. So, and that's because of the tremendous suppression of the social mind. So if we deal with the humans, our human population, independent of the social mind, you have really kind of what the initial goals of Taoist enlightenment are. And that would be to achieve the complete or true human, which is the human with all of its parts intact. And then you would have the achievement of the superior human, which is the human now stepping out of the amateur human ranks into the professional human ranks. So
the higher level abilities and
that's where the superior human would come from. In the current era, it's difficult for a person to even become a complete human,
or even to conceive of being a complete human, let alone reaching the higher human levels. Wow.
So I would say, if you wanted to roll it back to a time where the social mind was not dominant, it was a thing, it was annoying, but really if you were subject to it, it's because you didn't want to make the effort to not be subject to it.
Yeah, okay.
There would be people that were simply complete full humans, or very near it.
Just naturally,
without having to make that effort. And this would fit the modern interpretation of enlightenment. So essentially, everybody was enlightened or very near to it.
Yeah.
See, the thing that people don't understand about Taoism is that Taoism has never been a system for moving people towards enlightenment. Taoism, for most of its early history, even back to the shamanic element, was about taking people that were already there and moving them to the extraordinary height, should they choose to do such a thing. Because you can't impose that upon somebody. Let's just leave it at that statement. So that would be the difference in the world. The difference is the starting point and the goal. And the truth is that most of Taoist adept practice, so advanced practice, was the starting point of Taoism. in the early eras.
Because everyone was already this high, or
Right.
at that level.
But then you start sitting back going, what in the world is happening to everybody? And that's where liberation, which is freeing oneself from the social mind, starts to become an issue. That's essentially where you go, can't they just do blah, blah, blah?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. They can't.
So let's take a step back and start at a lower or a tougher level. So,
well, Taoism is a collection of human methods designed to facilitate and improve human life. So
it has to meet
human
us.
life moves over to here,
Yeah.
then it's a matter of no matter how much you want to sit back and deal with human life over there, I mean, you can certainly, especially within the esoterics, there can be definitely an intolerance, I would say, of having to sit back and go, oh, you still have not freed yourself. And we can't do any of that until you achieve that. And, it's, let's say the attitude towards it is curmudgeonly. and realistically, it is. It's like,
Yeah.
are we still dealing with this over here? It's like, okay. The reality is it shouldn't have been a difficult goal. Somehow it became that way.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about Taoism and humans prior to that, that's what you're dealing with. So you're dealing with people that, from today's perspective, this lofty goal of being enlightened, that's just the way people were, or very close to it.
Yeah.
And
There wasn't an active adversary against it.
yes, that is correct. There were adversaries, but the social mind was not the adversary. So,
Well, we'll leave it with that.
okay.
Thank you.